Welcome to Echevarria Travel, where we deliver all destinations from pole to pole. Whether it's tickets to a local event, a group bus trip, air travel for families, or cruises, we are here to lighten the load and take the stress out of planning your trip. We offer excellent travel packages for everyone, and we specialize in providing travel assistance to the special needs and disabilities community. Echevarria Travel provides education and information on traveling with medical conditions and accessibility options in airports, on cruises, and in foreign countries. Before you give up on taking that dream trip because you have special needs that seem to make it too difficult, please contact us for a consultation first. Echevarria Travel's award-winning founder, Cheryl Gueat, loves to travel and has personally overcome the challenges of traveling with blindness and special medical needs. Call us today at 631-456-5394 for a free consultation about your trip and explore the world with Echevarria Travel.
We'll start recording.
All right.
And good afternoon, everybody. And it's Talk Travel with Cheryl Echevarria. I'm your host. And welcome. If this is the first time you are watching or listening with us, a little background on me. I'm Cheryl Echevarria. I own Echevarria Travel since 2008. That's 12 years, serving all of North America. So if you're living in the United States, you are a client of mine. We also service Canada and Puerto Rico. So please let us know where you're calling in from. And if you're from outside the country and live here in the United States, as long as you have a working visa, we can work with you to travel to any destination in the world that your country will allow you to travel to. We do custom travel planning for you and your family. I also host small groups hosted by me and Nelson to either on a cruise or land or combination of places to North America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. And we have many things along the horizon that are coming up for 2021 and 2022. And all the information for to contact me will be in the description of either the podcast or our YouTube channel, so you can get in touch with me about your own trips or to sign up with our e-newsletter. Talk Travel, I bring once a week all my travel partners from across the world to come in and talk with me for about an hour and discuss their product to you and where they travel to. I'm also part of BNI, which is Business Network International, and I bring on my colleagues through BNI here in Central Florida and across the world to talk to you about their products. A lot of them, they can't service you outside the Central Florida area, and one of those people I have on today is Miss Amy Mitchell, who owns Houses of Windsor, LLC, and she's the owner and creator. She started her business. Amy, when did you start your business?
I started it in spring of 2018.
Thank you. Bringing light, beauty, and England to your house. So I want to introduce Miss Amy Mitchell here. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Cheryl. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I like all the pictures from behind you, the British flag, and of course, Queen Elizabeth sitting there in the corner.
That's right.
That's right.
I always have her watching.
Yes, she's a good person to watch and have watching you. I think of her as my grandmother. She's always
I love it.
So give us a little history about Houses of Windsor, why you started it, and exactly what you do.
Sure. So Houses of Windsor is a British-inspired tea and gift shop, and it's online. And the inspiration, I say it's British-inspired. I probably should say British-obsessed, but that's me personally.
Always good to have good obsession. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. So this is a 20-year obsession. I first traveled to the United Kingdom as a teenager and was just essentially fell in love with it then and kind of continued to go back every chance I could. And so with each trip, the obsession grew and grew. And I like to tell people that the first year I went, it was in 2000, and that was prime Prince William time. So he was 16 and I was 14, and like his postcards with his 16th birthday pictures were out. So I fell in love with Prince William and and then subsequently his country.
Well,
and
that's
his whole
good.
family.
That's good. That's good to have. I always not so much William, but I'm a big Harry fan. I love the red hair, and I always liked Harry, the younger one. William was a little too stuffy for me. I like Harry myself.
I love it.
But I'm old enough to be his mother, so we'll leave it at that. But still, what made you decide to start a tea company, though?
Sure. So what made me decide it was essentially, so on one of my trips back to the United Kingdom when I was in college, I learned how wonderful their tradition and kind of ceremony of tea time is. And what I really love about it is just the social space and environment that it provides for people to genuinely connect and just have fun. You can have serious chats, but it's, I like to compare it to my days in Chicago, where people would have so-called heart-to-hearts in the neighborhood bar, and then the next week you'd have the exact same one because nobody remembered that they had it the time before. So that's what. So the tea time people are gonna remember and enjoy. But so I have my degree in fashion, merchandising, and apparel design. From that, I went into the accounting world, and when I had my daughter 3 years ago now, I did not want to have to go back to the office. That was the original plan. I thought I would when she was 6 months old, and then by the time she was 3 months old, I was starting to panic and did not want to have to go do that. And I have a good friend, Dan, who said, "Why don't you try and do this tea business you're always talking about?" I was like, "Oh no, that's just like a daydream. I don't come from a family of like business entrepreneurs." So yeah, but so essentially he pushed me. He's like, "Well, if you don't try now, when are you gonna do it? Like, yeah, you're busy. You have a 3-month-old, but this is your only time you're ever gonna have to like kind of brainstorm where you're not also working, in an office." So that's what I did, and I've not given up since.
Well, didn't you originally start out doing like catering, more of a tea party aspect, and then COVID came around, you moved?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that part before you
Sure.
get on to the online stuff.
For sure. So Houses of Windsor really started up as I could say, live event tea party. And that actually was inspired by when I worked in an office for the social committee. They had me bring in my tea sets and everything, and I did a tea time for like the employees at work. And so that's when I kind of realized I don't have to have a set tea room. I can bring my tea room to, everybody else. And so that was the idea of Houses of Windsor. And as it so turned out, just based on, supply, demand, whatever you want to call it, people were more interested when I would host a particular event and sell tickets to it. So I would create the event and the theme and everything and then sell tickets. So it was essentially like a pop-up tea room versus people having a private party. And I had a couple more of those scheduled, and then COVID hit. And so obviously I had to cancel those. And I did already have an online shop set up, but I had not really been focusing on it. So once COVID hit, it was time to pivot and look closer at my shop and what I can do with that. And so as it turns out, I actually really like doing what I'm doing now, and I don't actually miss the live events, which shocks people. But because what I get to do now is what I really enjoy with like the subscription boxes that I do, the monthly boxes that people get.
Mm-hmm.
I love curating them. So it's like my passion is like, check out this cool new tea, and like, whoa, look at this cool British thing that I found, or like, you know, the foods and the trinkets and stuff. So I really enjoy being able to share, you know, spread the love of England by shipping now.
What about once COVID hopefully goes bye-bye and we get our vaccinations and
Right.
we're all out in the public again, are you going to go back and do the live events and maybe work with event planners to do something similar?
That's actually not in the plans. I do not plan to go back to that. I plan to just keep pushing forward with what I have and continuing on this path. This path seems to be, not only do I enjoy it more, but it also is working out better business wise. So yeah, don't want to go
Awesome.
back.
So, as I mentioned in the introduction, you can service anybody throughout the United States. Do you also do international orders as well, or is it just the US?
Yeah, so I can ship anywhere. Right now, I've shipped to the US and Canada. I essentially can learn to ship anywhere else. Like I have that functionality. I just have to make sure that the particular country is set up on my website. But I'm willing to ship worldwide.
So, as I know, you do loose teas if somebody wants to
Hmm.
try loose teas,
Yes.
and you also do the boxes. What normally does somebody get in a box when they order a monthly box from you?
Sure. So they get 2 ounces of, which is a good size pouch of loose leaf tea, and it's a different flavor each month. And then they also get a sampling of, well, I shouldn't even say sampling. They get like a full size product of candies or cookies, like something that's from England. I get it from an importer. And then they also get usually some kind of, I call it a functional trinket. So sort of like a souvenir, but not just something you put on your shelf, like it has a use to it.
Okay.
And so, and then I usually throw in some like little things like a sample tea bag of another flavor and just some little bonus items. But I should note about my tea, and in general, I only carry teas that I think are, I'll say, interesting flavors. They're not like your classics. Like I don't carry an Earl Grey or an English breakfast because you can kind of buy those anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I like to carry the things like there's a blood orange black tea, or trying to think what's the other one that I really like. Oh, there's a cherry rose green tea, which is delicious. um, so I like to carry kind of the cooler, different flavored ones. And I, so I'm sort of Americanizing it because I think the Brits don't typically venture out into flavors that much, but that is what I think is fun. So I do the flavored teas, and then everything else is British in the box.
Okay, and I also noticed that some of the boxes you could actually order with a cup and saucer with it. So you have different.
Yes.
Do you have a sample with you on your desk, or
Um,
the?
yeah, no, I almost do. I was putting one together before this, but so yeah, so those packages are, instead of subscriptions, those are just preset gift packages that you can either give out for the holidays or to like clients, you know, throughout the year. So yeah, there is one that includes all of the tea, the teacup and saucer, the spoon, the, you know, accessories needed, everything, and treats, you know, like full size British European treats. And yeah, so you can send someone a very lovely tea time.
Why don't you give our clients? We're nowhere done with the interview, but why don't you give our clients your website and phone number so after listening to our show, they can contact you and or go to the website and check you out.
Absolutely, thank you. So it is housesofwindsor.com. And the key there is that house is plural, houses of Windsor. And my number is 765-729-0204. And I would be happy to, yeah, if you want to call and place an order, you can do it online, whatever is easiest. I'm happy to take questions.
And she has a great following on Facebook as well. Her and her friend do tea tasting on Facebook. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I have made a tea lady friend. So we call ourselves the two tea ladies. She is up in Virginia, and I'm here in Florida for just any, for reference. But so we have started doing a joint Facebook show once a month where we choose 3 teas to taste, and we sample them, talk about them, talk about a lot of stuff that's not related to those teas. Sometimes we go down, British royal rabbit holes. It's very fun, but we take turns on whose month it is. So actually, I'm about to send 3 teas to her that we will be doing soon. And then she's in charge of January. So it's pretty fun being able to pick each other's teas, and we call each other tea pen pals because we just send tea back and forth.
And it's a lot of fun listening to them and describing the teas and what they think of it. It's very interesting. And then also on Friday, she holds tea time, which is getting a big following as well. And I'm part of that. And we talk, like you said, sometimes we go down the rabbit hole.
That's right.
Last week we were talking about the crown and the history of the royal family. So it starts out with what we're drinking all the way down to the latest thing going on in the UK. So
Right.
once you become a subscriber of Amy, you'll probably get invitations to the Friday tea time, and it's not very British, but we have fun doing it. There's no pinkies in the air,
nope, it's very informal.
very informal. But I started making myself some cucumber sandwiches to go with my tea. So
I love it.
Yeah, so I'm getting very involved with it. So tell us about, some of your experiences traveling to London, especially some newbies that have never gone before. Any of tips or any places that you love visiting that may encourage other people to reach out to me to help them plan their trip?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been over there, I think like 5 times now, maybe. I won't bore everyone by counting on my hand right at the moment, but we'll just say 5 times. And so I could say my favorite structure in all of the world is Tower Bridge. So I love just going and seeing it in the daytime and the nighttime. I feel like you really have to see it day and night. It's so beautiful at nighttime. And if you take a river cruise, you can get really great pictures of it. And the upper part of Tower Bridge, where there is the exhibit, I personally wasn't super impressed. So I say, if you want to save your tourism money, just go visit the bridge for free and don't bother with the exhibit up top. But I've heard other people say they love it, so that's my personal opinion.
But isn't that where the crown jewels are? Is that what it is?
No.
Or no?
So those are in the Tower of London.
Oh,
So that's,
okay.
Yeah. So they're somewhat close-ish, like along the river. But yeah, so the Tower Bridge is the really pretty one that's got like the blue trim on it, the blue and white painting trim. And so yes, Tower of London, I do that one every time. That one never gets old. And that is where you go see the crown jewels. So you definitely want to do that. Something that I feel a lot of people don't bother doing, but I've done probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, is go to Hampton Court Palace, which which is outside of London. So that's why a lot of people don't bother, but it's not that far. It's like, a day trip type deal. And that's where Henry VIII lived, for those people who don't know. And yeah, so it's just really interesting to see all of the different stuff, and we've got beautiful gardens. They have a fun maze that we do in the gardens that I always do, and they also do, I don't know if they do it year round, but I know we had to sign up ahead of time. They do a ghost tour that includes champagne.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, so I would just say, as far as places, you know, to step out to the outside of London, I would do that. And it's worth, you know, walking through Harrods. That's always really fun. The big, you know, traditional department store. And
Is
yeah.
that where they have the famous tea at 3 o'clock at Harrods? Or where would
Yeah,
you recommend people going to have, you know,
like
a
a proper tea.
traditional proper tea
Yeah.
and then a fun tea as well?
Okay. Oh, okay. So, for a traditional tea, now this is if you have it in your budget. I will say I've never done it, but I've heard people who have splurged. You can do tea at Harrods, and like it will be, I mean, it'll be very like the nicest, the nicest experience, but very, very posh. Probably not so informal. What I typically do though is really any hotel that is offering, like any London hotel that's offering an afternoon tea service where it is served in like a dining room type style, is always good. I've never had a bad tea. So I would say you could even do just do that. That's what I usually do. There is a fun place. Now I don't know how it has changed, but it is called Sketch.
Okay.
And it is, I believe when I first went there, it was more informal. I think now it's a little more formal, but you should still go. And when you go, make sure you go check out the bathrooms. I have to leave you in suspense because that's what our teacher did with us. Cheryl,
Okay.
I can tell you Cheryl off air, but I don't want to ruin it for anyone. The
I won't
bathrooms.
ruin it either. You
Yeah.
can tell me Friday. I'll listen on Friday.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The
We'll be
bathrooms.
topic of conversation on Friday's tea time.
Okay. Because yeah, our instructor when I was there in college said, everyone go have tea at Sketch. He's like, and make sure, you know, you stop by the toilets or the loo.
Okay.
Yeah, so we went and we were like, oh, okay, like now I know why he said this.
Okay.
So that would be what I would say a fun tea is. And something to note that I noticed just 2 years ago when I was there, at some of the hotels, they have something now called the gentleman's tea, and they serve it at the same time as afternoon tea. It's on the menu. And this is a new, trendier thing that a lot of them are doing, because men have tea over there just as, you know, like it's not like an American thing where it has to be female only. So over there, it's men and women. And so for the men, they have more of, we'll say, a manly menu. So it will be less sweets and more savories on their tea tray. So my
Okay.
friend Claire and I ordered one of each so that we could just split everything. So we did one afternoon tea and one gentleman's tea. And so it was like a little mini fish and chips, like a little Scotch egg, I forget, a little prawn salad,
Oh.
and just only one piece of cake. So it was very neat to see the difference, and I thought that was really cool. So I say,
Awesome.
even if you're two girls, try the gentleman's
All
tea
right,
with it.
yeah, definitely. People, it's good to hear about that.
Yeah.
Have you taken the tour of Buckingham Palace?
Yes, I was lucky enough to do that. I think I've only done it once, because you do have to do it in the summer when the queen is not there. And you definitely sign up ahead of time, like before the trip. And because I'm pretty sure the only time I went was when I went with a group where the group, you know, scheduled everything for us. So they knew to get our tickets in advance. um, and obviously your travel agent, like Cheryl, will get you set up in advance.
Yes.
So Buckingham Palace is very cool, and it looks just like it does. I don't know what they do in the Crown, if they're really in there or not, or do you know in the show The Crown, are they really using Buckingham Palace?
No,
or
they're not. They're not using it at all.
Okay, so they have a wonderful replica then, because it looks like they're in the real spot. So it's pretty cool to see. And yeah, and she's got, you know, the gardens outside and stuff. So Buckingham Palace is cool to tour, I would say, for sure. And I would say if you're going to go like around the United Kingdom, trying to think, Wales is really pretty. I'd say the best time I've had in Wales is when we just stayed in kind of a random little town at a bed and breakfast that has kind of like some trails and stuff to hike around because it's just really pretty. You can do Cardiff, the capital, I guess, but there's only, I don't know, there's only so much there. The castle is cool, Cardiff Castle. For Scotland, I have never stayed overnight in Scotland. I've always gone to Edinburgh as a day trip, and sometimes a really long day. Like we may be leaving at 11 o'clock at night, but that one I will always recommend the ghost tour for the underground, which is underground tunnels. It is not a transportation system like in London. So just creepy old dark tunnels where they will guide you and tell you all the stories from the past. So if you go to Edinburgh, make sure you go to a ghost tour.
Sounds good to me. Well, yeah. Well, Kensington Palace is haunted by supposedly Anne Boleyn. Supposedly, isn't that correct?
Oh, really? I don't remember who all is supposed to be haunting which place. I think Kensington Palace.
It's also
I know that was Diana's. Yeah, what'd you say?
Well, okay, wasn't Kensington Palace given to King Henry VIII by Archbishop Wolsey?
Oh,
because he originally owned it and gave it to the king because the king found out he was carrying too much money.
Right. So that one, I think that was Hampton Court Palace I was talking about earlier. That was Cardinal Wolsey's. Yes. Yeah, and I'm glad you remembered Cardinal's name because I wouldn't have remembered it. And then Henry VIII essentially made him give it back. Yes. Because he fell out of grace. Good grace.
That's right. So that was that's how it came into place. Yes.
Right, but you're right with Kensington Palace. So what I do remember of that one is when I was there, there was like an exhibit with Diana's dresses. But what you made me think of with the ghost is I'm fairly sure it's in that house that they have a room of. Now I'm going to forget. You said Queen Anne, right? Like,
Anne
was
Boleyn?
she the one? You said Anne or no?
Anne Boleyn?
I don't remember. I don't know. Well, so it was a queen who essentially had all of her children died, either like stillborn or at young ages, whatever. And she had one kid that made it to his 11th birthday, and then he tragically died.
Yes.
So she had like no heirs. So they have this room to give you the feeling of what kind of loss that would be. They have like however many kids it was, like 20 kids or whatever, all little kid chairs sitting in a room. Well, I know. Like, and so I can't even imagine. But yeah, that was kind of shocking when we walked into the room of kid chairs.
I'm sure somebody will come out on my YouTube channel and give us who that was. So somebody.
Yes, please remind us which which one that was.
So what other areas of England have you been to? Have you been to Stonehenge?
Oh yes, so I've been to Stonehenge. I may have a controversial opinion on it. I don't think it's worth the trip. So,
okay.
I've been there, and these are the reasons why. So, one, depending on your age, like the first time I went as a teenager, it was kind of like, all right, we're here, and then there's nothing else to do. Also, they now have the ropes around, like you used to be able to walk up to it and around and really close. Now you have to stand so far away that it's kind of like loses its, I don't know, luster or magic. I guess so. To me, it feels like there's even less to do now that there are the ropes keeping you away from them.
Yeah.
Which rightfully so. I mean, they probably should have had the ropes up a long time ago. But
True. People try to push them. I mean, there are people out there that try to push them down.
yes,
To see if there's any aliens attached to them because they think
right.
plastic
Yep.
in there. I mean, there's a lot of weird tourists out there that like to do crazy things. So
Right.
yeah, they unfortunately they have to rope things off now to keep people away.
Yeah. So it's fine if that's something like along a day trip and you guys are going to do other things. Just don't plan to spend a lot of time there is what I'd say. Like you go, you'll see it, you take your pictures, but literally unless it's changed in the last few years, it's not like there's any restaurants or shops. It is out in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
So you see that and that's it.
So there are many different ways of getting to England, and we're actually looking to go in 2022 to do the Queen Mary that sails transatlantic on almost a weekly basis from New York to Southampton and then fly home. So if you're looking for that traditional trip to the UK, this is one of the most traditional ways of doing it instead of flying, because we've only been flying less than 100 years, and the traditional way is by luxury liner, and people are thinking, oh my God, it must be so expensive, and what are I going to do on the this and that? And it's the transatlantic. It's not that expensive, and there's so many things to do, especially if you like classic traditional. They do the traditional tea. They got ballroom dancing. If you like that once in a lifetime, get the ball gown and tuxedo night out. That is the type of cruise it is. You don't have to get a tuxedo and ball gown. But if you want to rent, I mean, there's plenty of places to rent them out now that people can rent them.
Oh, right.
So you don't have to pay thousands of dollars on these gowns, and it's not all blue haired anymore. It's very, very in to do this trip. So those that are listening, we're definitely thinking of doing this for 2022 with a couple of days in London and Paris, and then fly home from Paris back to either Orlando or wherever you're going to disembark from. So we're definitely going to be doing a couple of days in England and France. So that's keeping an ear out for that, and that'll be planned probably by the middle of April 2021. So keep an eye out, and if you're all listening, let your friends and family know about it, and we'll have a great time doing so.
Yeah.
So
I love the sound of that, by the way. I want to go.
I really do. Start saving your money, and I'll get you.
I know. That's what I'm hearing.
Awesome, awesome. So, other than the UK, what about any other destination you have dreams about traveling to and bring your daughter Piper to?
Let's see. Dreams of going to. So part of my issue of being obsessed with the United Kingdom from a young age is that that's the only place I want to go. But I have been to Costa Rica in high school with my Spanish class. And that was a decent trip. Like, it's a high school trip, but we were there for a while and did like everything you can do in Costa Rica. And that was actually pretty cool. I would like to go back and be a little more in charge of what activities we do. Some were a little more too extreme for me. But that I would say would be really cool to do. And I guess maybe more places like that. Like, I know I live in Florida now, but I still would love to kind of go to every type of beach tropical place and explore. And I suppose I should put Hawaii on that list, but because it's part of the States, I never think of it. It's not exotic.
A lot of people think that because it's not attached to the United States, people think it's not part of the United States. And it's the same thing with Puerto Rico. I mean, it's Commonwealth, and it's not it's not technically on the continent, but you still have to I mean, you cannot drive to get there. People, some of the silly things, like you have insurance companies and all these crazy things that they ask you, or you hear all these accidents happen, and you have to laugh sometimes. But some people ask me if there's a bridge that goes from California to Hawaii, and I'm like, you'll be on that bridge a very long time. It won't happen. So. But you definitely have to fly or cruise from California to get to Hawaii, or myself is going to the South Pacific to go to Tahiti and Bora Bora and all that as well. So any thoughts of going to, now I know you're a Brit, born again and whatever you want to call it.
That's right.
What about going to New Zealand or Australia?
So actually, as you were talking, I was realizing that I would like to go back to France. I'd only spent like a weekend in Paris in college, and do Spain properly as well. I've never been to Germany. I'm on the fence if I want to go or not. But I would like to do Italy, because everyone in my group went to Italy, or almost everyone. I didn't. And everyone just raved about certain parts of it. So I would like to do that. As far as New Zealand and Australia, I would say probably Australia first, and beaches.
Okay.
I don't want to be, wherever there are like snakes and spiders and creepy crawlies, I don't want to be there.
Okay. I hear you. That's understandable. I don't like snakes and creepy crawlies either, so you won't see me in the Everglades, put it that way. We live in Florida here. You won't see me there, no.
No, thank you.
Anyway, we're coming to the end of our talk today, but I want to thank you, Amy, for coming on and sharing your experiences. And I hope my listeners will please, especially with the holiday season coming on, she's got a lot of ideas for Christmas, whether it's just one gift or a gift to give every single month of the year. Reach out to Amy. She's a great business owner. You can hear from her. If you can't see her, you're listening to the podcast, you can hear her laugh and enjoy what she does very much. She's like this all the time. Very happy person. She brings life into my life anyway. By her laugh and being true and honest and all that. And I definitely would say, please reach out to her to learn all about your teas and anything about England you have more. And then reach out to me and I'll be glad to book your trip. So thank you very much. Please see the description of the show and YouTube and podcast to get all the detailed information about the show and future shows, how you can register and sign up for more. Thank you again, Amy, for coming on, and I'll see you on Friday.
Yes, thank you so much.